Alright everyone, the moment you have been waiting for. Anthony Mars Jr. on PRLostGalaxy2014 with a brand new Power Rangers toy review. And my first review of Power Rangers Dino Charge toys overall. You know, originally I wanted to do a review on the Dino Charge Megazord and Morpher both, but I decided to postpone my review on the Morpher another time. Instead, I'm going to do a review on the Dino Charge Megazord, which albeit is the biggest, humongous Megazord out of all the Zords that I've gotten from Power Rangers past and current. Plus the Zords that I've had from Megaforce, Super Megaforce, so it's no big deal. So, the last remaining of toys from Super Megaforce and whatever else, Legacy toys and such, can wait. Dino Charge, I need to have a big focus on now. And despite the poor lighting of my video, if I can take something off my lamp first so we can have better lighting posture and composition, then it would have been just fine to this point. So with Dino Charge Megazord now in my possession, and yes, I spent 34 bucks on this on Amazon.com, free shipping, and it finally got here within 5 days, no less. I finally got my hands on the Megazord once again, in peace. So the Morpher, once again, I will focus on getting later when I have the time. So the Zords, of course, comprise of the Triceratops, the Stegosaurus, and the big granddaddy out of all of them, the Tyrannosaurus Zord. And from the look of this Megazord, it is once again the biggest of the biggest Megazord ever in terms of, you know, Zord-Builder compatible Zords in Power Rangers history, or in terms of toys likewise. And I would never really think that the Zords would be this humongous, but actually, when you just look back at the Zords we had back in, you know, past seasons as Zord-Builder compatible Zords, they were pretty small, actually, based on what you see from package, but actually, when reality speaking, they are smaller actually from out of the box. But when they're in the box, they seem to look big, but until you realize, meh, they look pretty small when you take them out of the package. But when I take the Dino Charge Megazord out of its respective package, it won't do so. And then let's look at the contents on the box, from side, from front. Side, you already saw the front. Now let's look at the sides. If we had better lighting here. And take a look at the back. And featuring some of the following contents. So, since I finally, with one of the products for Dino Charge, again about the darkness of this room, because I got a curtain closed and curtains have to remain closed despite the heat wave, I have to do the review in such a dark, glum room. Even though the light of the TV won't help. So, oh yeah, because the box was in the way. Duh. Whatever. So, on the bottom displays which Dino Chargers I need to collect, from what chargers are included when you buy a single Dino Charge product. But speaking of which, I do have one of the Dino Charger packs from the past earlier, before I would even get the Dino Charge Morpher or the Megazord. Where is it? Well, I'll show it during the review. I don't think, going through all this junk is going to take a while. I don't want to waste nobody's time when I do this review or anything, but okay, enough of me talking. Let's get on with the Megazord review itself. Tyrannosaurus' feet, check. Stegosaurus' tail plus Megazord saber, check. A Tyranno Dino Charger, check. Triceratops' tail, which is a drill, check. Another Tyranno foot, check. Hold on. That was tough to open, to get all the Zords, all the pieces out at once. individually, before I go ahead and put them back into Megazord mode, let's talk about the Zords themselves. And therefore, until next time when I get the Morpher, plus the Parazords and the Raptor Zords of the green and black Rangers, and when the Gold Ranger's Dino Charge Megazord comes out, I'll get my hands on that too, and see where I come from there with Dino Charge's merchandise instead of what was from last season or the Legacy line. So, let's look at them. First up, I'll talk about the Triceratops first, because I believe this is more worth talking about for a little while before we get to any any discussions on the other ones. Now, the Triceratops Dinozord, we know that ever since thinking back last year, back at the Bandai toy booth last year when they was unveiling stuff for Dino Charge and what Super Mega Force was having for its last half. You know, good thing they made the Triceratops pink, because if we had the Zord in purple, it wouldn't be the same, because knowing that the Pink Ranger's Triceratops in the series and as well as in Kyryuger was pink, well, based on the contrasting of the color. It looks less of pink from the lighting on my camera, but it looks a bit more like pinkish red, if you will. And good thing they made it pink, because seriously, what boy would not want to play with a pink Triceratops? I discussed that back in one of my podcasts and such last year. And Triceratops is not that bad from how it stands out. Now, if you put the Dino Charger, well, actually the only one, which is the Red Ranger's T-Rex Charger. See how it looks. The tail sticks out, and if you want, and then actually, when knowing this is the problem, when you put a Dino Charger in any of the Zords' mouths, they can't officially close. So that's why, in order for you to take them out, you gotta. How do you take the thing out, really? It's complicated. You just simply drag the thing out of its mouth and close it back in. Now the drill, it can do this penetrable push. Well, actually, when you're doing it with your fingers, though. The horns don't do anything. The legs move well, somewhat. And that's pretty much, you can go from there. Second and foremost is the Stegosaurus. Well, based on the coloring on the video and based on the contrasting of the colors, the Stegosaurus looks a bit... Oh, actually, I turned the light off because due to the fact that the light was kind of distracting earlier, that the Stegosaurus, well, actually, when you turn the light on, the Stegosaurus looks like the Black Ranger Zord, but when you turn the light off, it's actually the Blue Ranger Zord. Now, I can see if I had the Parazord and the Parasuarus Zord and the Raptor Zords, the colors will be different, well, based on the light shade of the lamp. You know, the Stegosaurus is pretty good. Actually, perhaps the weakest. Well, Triceratops and Stegosaurus are very weak by how they sound based on their abilities, and I guess that's pretty much of that. The Stegosaurus' tail is, of course, the Megazord's saber. If you simply take that off and pop it back in, which is not pretty much of a bad thing. Now, if you want to put the Dino Charger in the Stegosaurus' mouth, its function would be... Oh, wait. I put it in wrong. Excuse me. And also, the barcode is right here on the side of the charger. One function did Tricera actually had when you put the charger in. I just totally forgot. Well, obviously it's the first time I had this Zord, so don't tell me. I think I'm putting it in right. I mean, if I got the Triceratops' tail to push out with the drill, actually, I'm starting to think Triceratops, the Stegosaurus has no function with the charger in its mouth, or I think I'm putting it in wrong. Stupid me. Let's see. Nothing. So I believe Stegosaurus boy here is pretty weak. No functions, but when, well, you can pull this, well, actually, when you do put the charger in its mouth, this piece that I'm touching right here would probably go up, or I did put the tail piece properly on and it snapped together, but I don't see what the problem is or the big deal is, but what the hell. Stegosaurus and Triceratops, clear. And alas, the moment you have been waiting for. The granddaddy out of all of the Zords. The Tyrannosaurus. I have to admit with you, the T-Rex is freaking huge. Look how big his head is. Look how big his feet is. Look how sharp his tail is. Look how big his butt is. Excuse me. And look how tender, slim his legs are. And pretty tiny of his hands. Even though we've had for the last two Tyrannosauruses in Power Rangers for the Red Rangers, respectively, Mighty Morphin and Dino Thunder, that I would ever think the T-Rex would have smaller arms. Even though should a T-Rex even have small arms? That's quite unknown for me in my theory of Zords that are dinosaur themed, especially if it's T-Rex themed within Power Rangers. So I'm very clear whether should he be the most awkward looking one or what. Who knows? You know, the T-Rex is an awesome looking Zord. I should take back everything I said bad about the Zords from Kyryuger. They are pretty impressive, but thanks to the Power Rangers version, thanks to Power Rangers, I actually like these Zords. I said the same thing last year back in my Legendary Megazord review when I was discussing about my disdained disinterest in Gokaiger when it turned into you-know-what last year. So this is the same thing I'm saying this year for this season's Megazord. Although we're going to stick with this Megazord for the next year as well, since Dino Supercharge will be upon us in 2016. I understand the one thing, if the Megazord was making noise, because, you know, I can recall that the Japanese toy, when you press this piece, this black piece, which is the Megazord's chest, it would make sounds, but unfortunately, due to the fact that this is cheaply made, and if they added sound effects like the original Kyryuger toy, the American toy would be very expensive, from what I heard. There's no paint back here. All the Zord-Builder ports, well, actually that's because of the tail piece. You can take the tail piece and you put the Megazord together. Now the T-Rex, I really like its head piece. I like the way how it swivels any direction if you do it to a 900 direction. This is, let's see, this is like 360, 540, 570, 900. Okay, so, and then also, its mouth. I cannot believe it. Its mouth actually opens very wide. Open your mouth, and then when you put its respective Dino Charger, which albeit does, you know, you put the thing in its mouth, and, oh wait, what does it do? And you get the wild hair look on the T-Rex's head, which is pretty good. The T-Rex don't have any other bodily functions other than that when you put its respective charger in its mouth. I'll do the same thing when I open the other. And also, as a bonus, speaking of which, I just found my other Dino Charger pack, the one I was talking about that I was supposed to get the Dino Charge Pink Ranger figure, but this will be a reminder. Once when I get the Dino Charge Morpher, I will open this. So I'm not going to open it now, but when I get the Morpher, I will open this Charger pack. So I'm leaving this unopened. Now back to the Megazord review. Okay, so with the T-Rex completely seen and completely observed, it's time we put the Megazord back together. So let's bring out Triceratops and Stegosaurus back, and let's go ahead and combine it and form the Dino Charge Megazord. Perhaps what everyone's been waiting for, and I think as much as people have already did reviews on this Megazord already, let's go ahead and look at it. So let's go ahead and turn the T-Rex legs back to what they were from the first week I got this. It's not that hard. It's very easy to do. You gotta plug its there's bottom tips to the legs. You can separate the legs, which is one good thing about that. Fold the head back, even though okay, because as tall as this Megazord is. And hold on until I get, okay, that's clear. Take the tail piece off. I don't want to break this thing because it can break. You know, some people criticize that this Megazord can break easily, but knowing it's Zord-Builder. I mean, when you have a Zord-Builder Zords, the pieces will always anyway come off. I mean, wait until when I get the Legacy Thunder Megazord and some of the other Legacy Zords from MMPR. I will say for the Legacy MMPR Megazord, which, man, the tail piece ain't gonna come off, isn't it? Maybe I snapped it on too hard. I'll come back to that. Stegosaurus, obviously take this off, fold the legs together. It's not that hard to do. Open its mouth wide open. Go here, snap his, make sure it's snapped together. Now, hold on, Triceratops. Damn, I guess I snapped the tail piece too hard. Well, the tail piece of the T-Rex is the backpack piece of the Megazord anyway. I guess I'm straining myself to do this. Ugh, that was tough. Back to put this piece up. It's just hard to pull the... This is the most complicated Megazord to put together and take certain pieces off of. Now, Triceratops. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Still dark in here. Sorry. Fold its legs. Back to what they were when you got the Megazord. Actually, tail piece still goes the way it is when you just first got it. Open its mouth wide and attach it to the arm of the Megazord. Oh yeah, the tail piece of the T-Rex. It forms into a small backpack, which I believe goes here. Something like that. I mean, where the hell did this go to, really? Well, that's kind of complicated with this one. I mean, I think I didn't pay my money for this for nothing. Oh, duh, stupid me. There's ports on the front of this thing. It's kind of complicated. I need to get used to this one. And the Megazord saber, tail piece. Then you stick it in its hand, even though it's not going to fully go. But what the hey? And lastly, the headpiece to the Megazord. And thus, my friends, the Dino Charge Megazord is fully formated. It's not a bad looking Megazord per se, because, well, I have to eat my words and take back everything I said about Dino Charge Megazord. It is a good looking Megazord, but based on what its design was, likewise from my initial viewing of Kyryuger, I did not like this Megazord as much as anyone, because I thought the Megazord looked pretty crappy because of a lot of the red and less of additional colors, although there is some paint missing, and everything else. Now, when I get the Tricera, Parasaur and Raptor Zords and the additional Zords, and I hope they do the Ankylozord as an additional Zord to buy, I will get my hands on that as well. It's also Zord-Builder compatible. I don't think any Zords from past Zord-Builder compatible Zords from Samurai Megaforce are acceptable, but if I took parts of any of them to those Zords, it ain't gonna compat well. Only if I had Zords from MMPR with the Legacy line for, Legacy Dragon Zord, etc., and combine it with the Dino Charge Megazord, or some of the parts of the Dino Charge Megazord can go with the MMPR Legacy Zords. Again speaking, like if you took parts of the original Megazord from MMPR with parts of this, if it's acceptable. Yeah, and then also it's just very disappointing that some of the pieces can come off easily unless if it's not attached on accurately, but you get the idea. So what do you guys think of my review of the Dino Charge Megazord? I have waited nearly 8 months to get this damn thing. So let me know what you guys think, and I'm off for now. I know this review took a little long, as it shouldn't have been, but what the heck, because despite that the Megazord was hard to get from out of its box, I had to take a little while, even during the editing process, to put the Megazord together. And yeah, this is a very good looking Megazord, and perhaps one of the best looking ones we've ever had in terms of Zord-Builder compatible Zords. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys when I get my hands on the Dino Charge Morpher.